Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Really grateful to have you here today. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over my top 10 most complimented fragrances in my collection. So I've curated this list based on compliments I've gotten from women as opposed to fragrances I've gotten compliments from men on. I work as a delivery driver at a restaurant, so I've got a high volume of interaction with strangers, going up to the doorstep to hand over the food. And then I also work with a bunch of female servers that tend to give me compliments as well. So this is kind of where the field testing has been done at. So without further ado, I'm going to get right into the list. Number 10 is going to be YSL Y EDP. Gotten a good dent in this one, almost about halfway gone. Nice sage and green apple if you're not familiar with the fragrance, although it's pretty popular. Really good, nice, easy, dumb reach sort of fragrance. I tend to wear it mostly in the spring. But yeah, I've gotten quite a few compliments from the customers up at the doorstep whenever I'm bringing them their food on this one. None from the servers at work, but yeah, number 10 spot, YSL Y EDP. Number 9 spot is going to be from the house of Dior, and that is Dior Fahrenheit Les Parfums. I believe this one is recently discontinued. It's been popping up recently at discounters. I think perfumeonline.ca is where I've seen this one at for around $130, looking at maybe $150 after shipping. I think it's still worth that price, but it's been popping up at FragranceNet for like $109 as well, so kind of keep your eyes out for this one. Beautiful take on the original Dior DNA with some added boozy notes and some vanilla. This one tends to get me compliments from men and women. But yeah, I wore this one recently and got a few compliments from the servers. So that's number 9 Dior Fahrenheit Les Parfums. Okay, number 8 spot is going to be a cheapie but a goodie. Not only have I gotten compliments on this one while at work, but just randomly out at the grocery store. I remember being in line at a Walgreens to pick up a prescription once, and there was 2 women in line there that independently gave me a compliment on this one. That is Halloween Man X. Nice sort of Versace Aero style fragrance with an added coffee note and some whiskey accord. You can usually find this one for under $40 for a 4.2 ml. One of my favorite cheapies of all time for sure. Really pleasant to wear, and I've even, my dad complimented me on this one, so I bought him a bottle of this as well. So really mass appealing, beautiful fragrance, Halloween Man X. Number 9, 10, 9, 8, 7. Number 7 spot. So the juice level on this one is still really high. This is going to be the replica line from Mason Martin Margiela's Jazz Club. I accidentally dropped my bottle that was almost half empty, and then it shattered, so I had to get a replacement bottle. So I don't even know if I've actually worn this fragrance out of the bottle yet, but this one has gotten me quite a few compliments, and the compliments that I did get from this one, there's a few fragrances in this list, and this is one of them, where the tonality of the voice of the women that gave me a compliment was, the best way I can describe it is that it was infused with like a lustful sort of tone. Like it was like, oh, you smell so good. So that's the kind of compliments that I've pulled with this fragrance right here. No surprise, a beautiful, nice kind of boozy tobacco. Heady cocktails and cigars is the fragrance description on the label here. Again, the replica line tries to capture a moment in time. It's the whole theme of the brand, and so this one is trying to capture a jazz club. So you can think of kind of dim lighting and date night sort of scenarios, which is why I think this one gets the sort of reactions that it does. So that is the number 10, 9, 8, 7 spot. Number 6 spot. Pretty dumb reach kind of fragrance, just the typical freshy, I would say. I think it's important to have this one of these, to have one of these or its flankers in your collection for sure. This is going to be Acqua di Gio Profondo. So yeah, like the original Acqua di Gio I think is the most sold fragrance, men's fragrance of all time. This flanker happens to be my favorite to date. I do really love the Profumo and how it's a little bit more versatile. This one's more curtailed toward the spring and summertime, whereas the incense note and the Profumo makes it wearable in the colder weather as well, but that one's been discontinued, so this one is the one I would recommend picking up. And again, I've gotten a whole boatload of compliments from staff and customers and the general public. Guys and girls alike tend to love this fragrance. There's a reason why the original is the most sold men's fragrance of all time. That's Acqua di Gio Profondo. Okay, moving into the top 5. Perhaps no surprise here, we have Dolce & Gabbana's The One EDP. Again, mostly got compliments from the servers on this one at work, but it's a beautiful sort of ginger tobacco amber fragrance. Probably the best date night fragrance I have in my collection, I want to say. It just matches the longevity perfectly for a date. Right around like 4 to 6 hours is what I usually get out of this one, but the scent profile is so seductive and warm and inviting. Again, this is another one that I've gotten compliments from men and women on, so definitely mass appealing. Huge compliment puller. Number 6 spot, or no, this is the top 5. So number 5, Dolce & Gabbana's The One EDP. Okay, number 4 spot. This is one of the other fragrances in this collection that when I have gotten compliments on it, it has come in that tonality of lust where the girls are just kind of, head over heels in some sense over the fragrance profile. And as you can see, I've definitely worn a lot of this one. I think it's my most worn fragrance in my collection. This is even my second bottle. This is Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum. Beautiful leather cherry almond fragrance. Super unique, super pleasant, sweet, masculinized by the leather in here. I've strictly gotten compliments from women on this one, never complimented by a guy on this, but yeah, this is probably one of my favorite lines in all of designer fragrances. Any of these is great, but this is the one I've gotten the most compliments on out of the entire line. Guerlain L'Homme Idéal Eau de Parfum. Okay, moving into the top 3. So this one, again, very mass appealing, blue fragrance. I tend to find that this one is more well received by the general public than even Bleu de Chanel, and that is Versace Dylan Blue. In my opinion, I think this one just, for whatever reason, is the most mass appealing because it's got the best combination of sweetness and freshness. Like, the sweetness in here is a lot more dominant than you get in either Sauvage or Bleu de Chanel, and I think that's why it goes over so well. Again, I've gotten strictly compliments from women on this one, and they're always really excited to smell it. I've even had one of them say that I smelled expensive or like money because I was wearing this fragrance. Yeah, being a freshie, it wasn't one that induced that sort of lustful tone, like, oh, you smell so good. But yeah, they just tend to really enjoy it and say that they like the smell when I walk by. It leaves a good sillage as well, and it's a cheapie, so you can find this as a tester with the cap for under $40, which is really nice. So that's going to be the number 3 spot, Versace Dylan Blue. Okay, and the number 2 spot. Now, I think this is probably something that would end up in the number 1 spot if I had worn it or had it in my collection for longer, but I've only recently picked it up. But this is the only fragrance in my collection where I've gotten multiple compliments in the same day on multiple occasions, and that is going to be Dior Sauvage Elixir. A little bit expensive. This is only a 60 ml, and it's like around $130 on discounters right now. I think I saw Joma Shop had a pretty good deal on the 3.4 ounce bottle, right around $200, I think. But yeah, this is a really beautiful lavender. It starts off kind of spicy and bitter, but then it slowly evolves into a nice, fresh, sweet lavender-based fragrance. There's some cinnamon here that helps make it a little bit darker, and so it adds, like Versace Dylan Blue, it has that nice combination of freshness and darkness and sweetness. Just a beautiful fragrance, in my top 10 favorite fragrances of all time right now. Like I said, I think this would be the number 1 spot had I had it in my collection for longer and was allowed more field testing with it, but definitely worth checking out. I would say maybe sample it because it's got a little bit of an old school style to it, so it might not be for you per se, but it's definitely mass appealing, and the general public tends to respond very well to this one. A lot of the servers at work have complimented me on this one and asked me even what the name of this one was called, so that's Dior Sauvage Elixir. And my number one most complimented fragrance, again, I think it would be the number 2 spot had this one been in my collection for longer, but this one also has been pulling me compliments from all age groups. Like, I've gone to holiday dinners at my wife's relative's house, and her aunts, which are, you know, in their 60s and 70s, are complimenting me on this fragrance. And then I have young people from like Gen Z that I work with that are servers at work that are complimenting me on this one, and then I'm getting compliments out in public from customers and even at the grocery store. This is going to be my number one most complimented fragrance, a real hidden gem, and I'm trying to hype it up on the channel. You can currently find it for under $20 at Fragrance Net, and that's Colors Man Black from the house of Benetton. So what you get here is predominantly a lavender fragrance, so it's very aromatic, but then it's sweetened up with some a really strong vanilla. And then it's got a really nice woody texture from a synthetic oud note, and then a nice spicy opening with a nutmeg accord at the top as well. So you get lavender, nutmeg, oud, and vanilla, and that's really a super unique fragrance. Again, like Dylan Blue, like Dior Sauvage Elixir, it combines freshness and sweetness and a little bit of spiciness. It actually doesn't smell like this, but it carries a very similar sort of note pyramid with the spices and the sweetness and the heavy lavender. But yeah, this is definitely a must-have in my collection at the very least, especially at sub $20. This is probably the best value for money that I have in my entire collection, and I definitely want others to get to know this. So definitely check all of these out. So that was my top 10 most complimented in my collection. You know, maybe this will change over time. Like I said, I think this one will slowly move into the number 1 spot, but let me know what your most complimented fragrances are, and let me know if you've tried any of these out, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.